Alright, welcome to my next video topic for your lessons that you're going to have tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this. We're going to talk about probability. And so here, my objective with this one is you will be able to decipher situations and determine the probability of desired outcomes. And hopefully you can see all that. I'm not exactly sure why it seemed like it was off the screen, at least from my view. Anyways, so let's look at what we want to do here. So what is probability? Probability is basically the number of desired outcomes, what you want to happen. So they tell you kind of what they want to happen over the total number of possible outcomes. Now, how there are different ways to ask this question? Yes, there is. So that's what I think usually sometimes is the confusion. But let's start off with something simple. So if you flip a coin, there's the simplest probability you can see. What is the probability it comes up tails? Well, how many outcomes could you get flipping a coin? You can get heads or tails, that's 2. And you can only get tails that one time because there's one, it's on each side. Don't make it any more confusing than that. So the probability of getting tails is 1/2. So let's look at another example. And again, if I go too fast, as I always say, pause it, make sure you understand what I said, what I did, and then kind of go from there. Anyways, let's look at this little example. If a jar contains 4 red marbles, 3 blue marbles, and 6 yellow marbles, what is the probability of drawing a marble that is not red? Okay, notice that the question is asking not getting red. So if I look at this, I've got 4 red, 3 blue, and 6 yellow. That right there is my total possibilities. And if you add those up, you get 13. Okay, now, again, not red, so then that means I want the blue and the yellow possibilities to be my desired outcomes, what I want to happen, because I don't want red. Well, 3 plus 6 is 9, so the probability of not drawing a red one is 9 out of 13. And there you go. I have no idea what all that extra stuff was that's just written down. But anyways, 9 out of 13. Now, keep in mind, again, how does the question get asked? Now, on this one, let's think about this. Probability is often written as a fraction between 0 and 1. So I want y'all to understand that. It's almost always going to be written as a fraction. But think about the decimal equivalents that might be associated with that. The reason why it doesn't go over is because you can't have over 100%. Think 1 is 100%, or the pure chance. So the closer we are to 0, the more not likely it is to occur. The closer we are to 1, the more likely it is to occur. That could also be an important way to ask a question. So let's look at another example. Jonathan has a messy drawer of socks that are already in pairs. There are 3 pairs of white, 4 pairs of brown, 5 pairs of black socks. In the dark, he reaches in and grabs a pair of socks out of the drawer. So what's the probability that he's going to get brown socks? Well, let's see. Anyways, good grief, what's wrong with my throat? Okay, so if you add 3 plus 4 plus 5, you get 12. And the probability of getting brown socks, well, there's 4 brown socks, so that's 4 out of 12, which could be simplified to 1/3. What's the probability of not getting black? Again, there are 12 blacks, or 12 socks, but there's 3 whites and 4 browns, so that would be 7 out of 12. And the probability of getting white, well, there are 3 white out of the 12 total, so 3 out of 12. Notice here I'm not doing anything called compound probability, I'm just doing very simple probability. Okay, and 3 out of 12 can be simplified to 1/4. Here's another example. Oh, not another example, but let's go add on to this from the last problem. So, going back to that, okay, we're talking about Jonathan still with his messy pair of socks. What is the minimum number I could see this being a question. What is the minimum number he needs to draw in the dark to ensure he has a pair of black socks? So now you're saying, okay, look, I've got 3 whites, 4 brown, and say 5 black. What is the minimum number I have to draw to get a black one, to make sure I have a black one, if I could not for some reason see that? Well, if you think about it, there was 7 out of 12 that could be not black. So that means he could draw, in theory, possibly, not likely, draw 7 pairs of socks in a row, and none of them be black. It could have been keep drawing white and brown by accident. So that means to ensure that he's going to get the black socks, he has to draw 8 times. because on that 8th one, there are no more white or brown socks, so that makes sure that there's a black sock. Again, this is pure theory. It wouldn't be something that's likely to happen, but they're saying to make sure. Okay, now my last example I'm going to go over is actually from an ACT practice test. So keep in mind how this question gets asked. A bag contains 12 red marbles, 5 yellow marbles, and 15 green marbles. How many additional red marbles must be added to the 32 marbles already in the bag so that the probability of randomly drawing a red marble is 3/5? So the important thing here is, okay, I want to get to 3/5, and I have right now a probability of 12 out of 32. 12 red ones out of 32 total marbles. Now let's look at the answer choices. 13, 18, 28, 32, 40, no, just kidding. Anyways, so how could I use those answer choices to help me figure out how do I get 3/5? There's all sorts of different ways you could probably do this, but I think, again, this is one of those situations where putting the answer in or working with the answer choices would help you benefit. So think about this. If these are all red marbles, that's what these answers are supposed to represent. 13 red marbles, 18 red marbles, 28 red marbles. If I add 13 red marbles to 12, well, then I'm adding them to the bag. So that means I'm adding 13 to the 32. And that would give me 25 out of 45. So now suddenly I have 25 red marbles, because I added 13, out of the 45 total marbles, because I'm adding 13 marbles to the bag. Okay, and that simplifies to 5/9, which is not what I wanted. So let's try that again. Next answer choice. So 18. 18, adding to both, because I'm supposedly these are red marbles, and so I'm adding them to the amount of red marbles I have and the total in the bag. 18 plus 12 is 30. 32 plus 18 is 50. Oh, what do you know? That simplifies to 3/5. So there's my answer. So there are different ways I can ask this question, and you should always be aware of the different ways that we can ask this question so that you don't say, oh, this is too hard, I can't do it. The more you get exposed, these problems we'll get. Anyways, if you do have questions, feel free to ask me on Edmodo, because I will not be in at the time for this one. But no, be free. I will try to check as often as I can. Have a good day.